Some nights, he fed the kids and went to bed hungry. Not because he didn't work hard, but because saving their future meant sacrificing everything else. Josh was a single dad making $22,000 a year. 2 kids, no backup, and $5 had to stretch for dinner. He called it poor man's lasagna. Instant noodles, a can of beans, and ketchup. That's not a joke. That was dinner. Frugal living isn't about being cheap. It's about refusing to give up, no matter the budget. He turned survival into a game. Made dinner fun, not because it was easy, but because his kids deserved a smile. Watch the full story. He raised 2 kids on $22,000. The mailbox had become a source of dread. Every rustle of paper meant another demand he couldn't meet. Late fees stacked like Jenga blocks, waiting to fall. Josh, a 38-year-old warehouse worker in rural Ohio, stood frozen in his kitchen. The rent was due. Again, his hands, calloused from loading pallets, trembled as he read the letter. He had $221 in his account. Rent was $850. 2 kids, no backup. This wasn't a one-time slip. This was life. Every month was a fire drill. Josh wasn't lazy. He worked 50 hours a week, never missed a shift. But the numbers didn't care. $22,000 a year, after taxes and childcare, didn't stretch far. Not when cereal costs $5 and shoes were out faster than the budget. He looked at the fridge. A magnet read, "One day at a time." Today wasn't the day he'd give up. Dinner was often a puzzle. $5. 2 kids. 3 meals. Josh had mastered the dollar store aisle like a chessboard. A can of beans, frozen mixed veggies, discount pasta, maybe a splash of shredded cheese if it was payday. He made it a game for the kids. "Tonight, we're having poor man's lasagna," he'd say, layering instant noodles with ketchup and a dream. They laughed, not because it was funny, but because laughter made it taste better. Josh hated those meals, not because of the taste, but the meaning. Each bite was a reminder that survival took creativity. That frugality wasn't a choice. It was the only option. He clipped coupons, watched YouTube videos on batch cooking, and started budgeting down to the penny. No subscriptions, no luxuries, not even a second coffee. The kids never knew how much it cost him inside. His daughter turned 6 that spring. Josh counted out $14 in coins from an old mason jar. No party, no gifts. Just pancakes made from scratch, shaped like Mickey Mouse, and a trip to the park. But she smiled like it was Disneyland. They sat on a park bench with peanut butter sandwiches wrapped in wax paper. Josh snapped a photo on his old flip phone, capturing her grin. It wasn't about the money. It was about the moment. He learned that early. Presence over presents. Still, it stung. The neighbors posted photos of bounce houses and bakery cakes. He scrolled past them, biting his tongue. Pride was a hard thing to swallow, but he swallowed it anyway. He started a tradition that year. One memory gift. A handwritten story, a drawing, a picnic under the stars. She never asked for more, but he always wished he could give it. When the warehouse cut overtime, Josh picked up night shifts at a gas station. 10 p.m. to 2 a.m., then back up at 6 to get the kids ready for school. His eyes burned, and his body ached, but he didn't stop. Sleep became a luxury. Time a currency. He traded both for a shot at stability. He brought a thermos of weak coffee and packed peanut butter crackers. Between customers, he read books on personal finance. Dave Ramsey, Mr. Money Mustache. He scribbled ideas in a pocket notebook. By used always, no debt unless it breathes, $5 rule. Every shift was another drop in the bucket. Slow, steady, painful, but moving forward. He didn't tell the kids about the gas station. They thought he was at the office. Maybe someday they'd understand. Josh had never been taught how to budget. Money came in, and it disappeared. But after a month of overdrafts and desperation, he decided to try something new. He labeled envelopes. Rent. Food. Gas. School. Emergency. Cash only. Each payday, he divided the money. Tangible. Visible. Real. It changed everything. There was no more wondering where the money went. No more overdrafts. No more surprises. It was slow. It was tight. But it worked. One day, his son asked why he kept money in envelopes. "To make sure we don't forget what matters," Josh said. The car wouldn't start. Josh stood in the snow, jumper cables in hand, hope slipping through his fingers. Towed to the mechanic. Diagnosis: Alternator. Cost $487. Before the envelope system, this would have wrecked him. But now, there was $520 in the emergency envelope. Just enough. He paid in cash. It wasn't just the car that kept moving. It was him. For the first time, he felt power. Control. Even in the storm. He drove home in silence. Then turned up the music. His cousin offered him a personal loan. $2,000. No interest, no pressure. Josh thought about it. Thought about how easy it would be to breathe for a few weeks. And he said no. Not because he didn't need it, but because he'd learned that control meant saying no to shortcuts. That night, he paid the electric bill in full, with 3 envelopes spread on the kitchen table. It was slow. It was painful, but it was his. He stared at the savings account like it was a trophy. $1,011.27. He hadn't seen 4 digits in his bank account since before the divorce. He took a screenshot and emailed it to himself with the subject line, "Never going back." He told no one, but walked a little taller that day. Not because he was rich, but because he'd proved something. That discipline was louder than luck. Saturday morning, Josh spread coins across the kitchen table. Quarters go to savings, pennies to giving, dimes to spending. The kids listened. His daughter folded $1 into her sticker book savings jar. His son said he wanted to save for a skateboard, but also give to the animal shelter. Josh smiled. This was the legacy, not just surviving, but planting seeds. 5 years later, Josh earned a promotion. Shift supervisor. $34,000 a year. Still modest. But now there was breathing room. They upgraded to a better apartment. He bought a used car with cash. He started an emergency fund for the kids. He still used envelopes. Still clipped coupons. But now it wasn't about surviving. It was about purpose. At dinner, his daughter said, "Dad, remember poor man's lasagna?" He laughed. That was gourmet, kid. And they ate together. Not in fear, but in peace. If Josh's story inspired you, hit subscribe, watch another episode, and tell us in the comments, what's the biggest money lesson you learned the hard way?